Callum Hudson-Odoi, 35 million quid-ish, linked with Bayern Munich.
I was reading that. Well, apparently Bayern have met the buyout clause, or the valuation that Chelsea have put him, €39 million, wasn't it? So,
have you seen much of him?
Yes, I've seen him a lot. I've seen him at youth level, actually. I saw him play for England under 18s. I went to watch England under 18s against Argentina under 18s. England were fantastic on the day, actually. They were so good. Technically better than Argentina. Now that wouldn't have been said in the past. It's amazing. It was amazing to watch them, how good they were. Physically brilliant throughout the side. But he was incredible to watch. I've never seen a player that's dominating a game from a wide area. He played on the left-hand side. Yeah. Now the thing was with England at youth level, I know a little bit when speaking to Lee Carsley, who's now with England under 21s. Lee knows a little bit about Sancho. He worked with Jadon Sancho. The two of them were playing in the same position, so they used to switch positions when they were playing for England. So Sancho might play on the right, or Hudson-Odoi might play on the right, and vice versa, however they were going to work it. They were both that good, but two of the best attacking talents to come out of England both play essentially as left-siders, but both right-footed. So they've both tried to modify the game. I like what Sarri's doing with Hudson-Odoi at the moment, because he's playing him on the right. Yeah. And I spoke to Lee about this when he was coaching at City, and it wasn't something that's come into the club's ethos essentially. But I said, why don't you switch them at times? Why don't you play a right foot on the right side? Because they'll learn how to run off the ball. Yeah, be a winger, but also go at the line. But certainly, because when I watched Sancho a lot, he'd run in behind and check, always want the ball to his feet constantly, because he's that good. He'd basically make fools of defenders, and that was what he saw his game as. Whereas I'm watching him now at Dortmund, and he's stretching him all the time, and that's something that you just learn it. That's how it is. Hudson-Odoi is starting to learn that as well. But
the other night against Spurs, he started on the right, didn't he?
Yeah, that's it. And I think he's an incredible talent. I mean, an amazing talent. That's why Bayern are in for him, essentially. And
when you hear the fees, you think, wow, and he's only played X amount of Premier League minutes this year, but the talent is there. That team that you mentioned, that was the team that we played with the 17s in Europe.
Yeah, you'd have seen him as
that was. I have to be honest, I wasn't aware. At the time, the two names that were jumping out at everyone were Jadon Sancho and Phil Foden. And Hudson-Odoi.
Was McEachran playing for
McEachran played deep.
See, I think he's a good player as well.
On the screen. McEachran was the sitter. Then you had Foden kind of playing as a number 10. Hudson-Odoi, Sancho and Brewster, who's at Liverpool. So we'll hear a lot of these other young players in the next few years, I'd imagine. But that's the type of talent England have at their disposal, the best of the best. I think it's a shame if he leaves Chelsea, I really do, especially with the system that's been played at the moment. Last year, he doesn't fit in the team because of a three at the back and wing backs. I don't know where he plays in that system. Yeah. At the age he's at. As the years go by and he becomes cuter and more clever, he can play as a 10, I've no doubt about that, if he continues the development. But Hazard, in a 4-3-3 now, they've only got Hazard, Willian and Pedro. Yeah. Hazard's future is constantly being spoken about. Pedro is 31, Willian's 30. Like, it's not as if they've got someone else then next. They have to keep holding.
They signed Pulisic.
Yeah, but
Keith, they're exactly the same level. They go out and spend 60 million on Pulisic. Why on earth would he stay around? If I'm
saying Chelsea's perspective, you cannot let him go, and you need to nurture him, and you need to
100% with you there. But if I'm him, I'm thinking they've just signed a player for 60 million to play in my position, who Jadon Sancho's keeping out of Dortmund's side now. Now, I'm on the level of a Sancho, but I believe I'm on the level of a Sancho. Why am I staying around to sit on the bench? I think at the moment it's almost as if Chelsea, or what they're doing, they're trying to just show him what might be available to him. You play a few games. If he carries on the level that he's been playing at, like he did against Forest and he did this week against Spurs in the Cup, then I think then it might be he's in the team on merit then. But I think he's well within his right to think, no, I want a bit of that. I want to go and play for.
So if you're him,
because I think Bayern are a bigger club than Chelsea worldwide. They are. They've got.
And there's more. I know in the last year to two it hasn't, but traditionally there's a more secure environment there. And I presume behind the scenes, regardless of the manager situation, it is a secure environment in terms of training. That the organisation, I know the management side hasn't gone too well over the last 18 months, but Chelsea. Someone can come in next year and go back to a three at the back. Yeah. And then there's no guarantee.
Also, you look at Victor Moses. Victor Moses out the window. But just I spoke about Declan Rice before, when the young lads are overlooked contract-wise. They're overlooked positional-wise in the team. Yeah. Pulisic come in, he's going to play. Yeah. I would think, and I said that they're at this. Well, Pulisic is a couple of years older than him, but they're at the same level. They're essentially at the same level, the two of them now. Yet Pulisic has played a lot more games than him. He's obviously been in the side since he was 16 at Dortmund, so he's had 4 years of professional football, first-team football. And Hudson-Odoi will naturally be the one to be overlooked. He's 18, he's come through the system. It's an easy one to say, he's a kid, don't play him, regardless of the ability. And that's what used to annoy me, it annoy others, it annoys so many different youngsters when they're coming through the system. You get overlooked because it's an easy one for a manager to say, thanks very much, but we'll just leave you out this week, we'll leave you out next week, we'll leave you out in these big games. Whereas he goes to Bayern, he is a signing for Bayern. 35 million is a huge signing for Bayern Munich, so they're going to play him.
Especially with Ribery, Robben, contracts out at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think Robben's gone. Was Ribery staying on? Was I told Ribery staying on? But Robben looks like he's gone.
Leaving.
So
Gnabry isn't exactly Ronaldo.
No, exactly. For the level that I've seen him playing at, I think he's way better than Gnabry from what I've seen of Gnabry. Again, talented player, but Hudson-Odoi is better than him in my mind.
Yeah. What do you think of the Chelsea loan system as a whole? The way they, to a degree, stockpile, it can be seen as developing, but it's essentially money making, isn't it?
It is.
And I know UEFA, FIFA, or whatever are looking to possibly clamp down on that, and you can only have X amount of loanees out.
They've got 50 odd pros or something.
Something ridiculous. Like it's over crazy. 40, isn't it?
20 odd on loan or something like that. And you've got that many players on the books. The system works for Chelsea. As you say, it's a business. The business is profitable. But there's got to come a time when morally for a player and for a club to look after the players, they're never going to play in the first team. Joe and I were speaking about the other night, whereas if you're 11, 12 and you're going into Chelsea's academy, realistically you're not going to play in the first team. But the kid themselves, as a parent, they're looking at it, well, my child's going to get a private education, he's going to get top-class coaching as a footballer, so there's always a fallback if you come away from Chelsea. But there are too many at clubs that are getting to that level at Chelsea, and they've had such a good thing from the age of 10, 11.
That is the
Where do you go from there?
Because
when you fall down for the league? League 1 and 2, we've both been there.
Play there, and it's a different world. And I've been at clubs where we've had these little superstars that come and play. I've coaching side of it as well, and it's like they are looking around the place thinking, what is this? And
the football, Keith, on the pitch, essentially it's the same game, but it's a different game. And the fact is that you're going to have to play a little bit of knockdown football. Teams play a little bit more direct. Second ball, young lads don't understand the second ball. They don't. They want it to the feet. They want to come and play. They want to get on it. And I'm not necessarily saying look nice, but they want to actually play and have an influence on the match. Whereas sometimes when you're playing at League 1 and 2, you might not necessarily touch the ball for long spells, but you've got to have an influence without the ball. You've got to actually go and make second balls and then try and influence a game like that. And it's difficult for a young kid to grasp, and that's why they actually fall away from the game. And League 1 and 2 clubs, technically they're way above anyone at the club, but they don't play because they can't grasp the game.
Yeah, I don't know whether it'll change or not, but I hope it does to a degree, because like even players like Ethan Ampadu, we've seen him destroy us for Wales back in September, and then like what's he played? A couple of Europa League games, a Carabao Cup.
He played maybe a couple of the weekend, didn't he, against Forest?
Doesn't look like they're going to let him out on loan because he's kind of close-ish to the first. That's a horrible position to be in, where you're that close, you're not getting there.
Is he going to play ahead of
Christensen, Ruiz, Rudiger?
Yeah, but he's essentially playing as a holding midfielder, isn't he? So who's the holding midfielder there? It's Jorginho. Yes, so that's what
Fabregas. Looks like Fabregas is gone. So
but if Jorginho got injured, who would he play? He'd play Kante, 100%.
Probably change that and go Kante as a sitter.
So Kante's playing a different position now. So he's got two lads ahead of him. He's not going to play. Simply not going to play.
See what City did with Diaz, and City have been criticised for this. That they let him go to Real Madrid for, what was it, 16 million, maybe rising to 20, 25, whatever it was. Again, vast amount of money for someone who's done very, very little, but it's obviously the potential. But they've kind of gone, look, we don't like Phil Foden, we see, obviously, I'm only thinking that this is what they're panning out and planning for these individual players. Phil Foden has a route to the pathway to the first team. We see it, we can see it. He's constantly talking about, I have to get him minutes, I have to get him. They obviously didn't see that with Diaz. So rather than just keeping him there, sticking him out on loan, they've just gone, right, he doesn't want to be here, we're getting good money, we can't stand in this lad's way.
That's the business model, isn't it? Again.
So it's totally different to Chelsea's.
Yeah, that's the model that they signed him when he was a youngster going in there. That is, as you say, 17 probably million up front. That's played up front. That pays for the academy for another couple of years or whatever it's going to be. That's basically the business model. That's how it is. Foden, when Guardiola was asked at the weekend, is he going out on loan? Would you let him go?
Chance.
Absolutely no chance. But he's different because he's got Sancho. he's got Sancho, or last summer, wasn't it, or the other summer when he let Sancho go. He is at a level where he's probably behind Raheem Sterling, probably behind Sané. So there's one or two that's ahead of him. Is he going to play? And then even they got Bernardo Silva that they're playing on the left and right, was playing there last year anyway. Mahrez, exactly. So they can let him go. They let him go for 8 or 9 million. Yeah. Again, that's the business model. Yeah. Now, if he goes on and does well like he is, he's a talent, supreme talent, as we're seeing now at Dortmund. But that is, in their mind, City's academy, because it's a different structure. You think as one club, it's not one club. The business model is the academy, and the first team model is the first team. So they're actually two separate entities. And that is just paying for, or that's budgeting, or it's not even budgeted, should I say. That goes into the coffers for another few years. It pays more play, or it pays for more players to bring in from abroad, or pay for wages of the young players within the academy. That's how it works.
Liverpool FA Cup on Monday night. Team selection, firstly, any problems with that? I didn't personally. I know we have slightly different views on the FA Cup.
Well, do you know what? One thing I'll always say, I wasn't left out the side too often. You were left out a lot more than me, Keith, as you know. But you were the one that would have been chapping on the manager's door when you're not on the side.
I would, yeah.
No, that would have been. Like, we've all had spells out the side, and when you're not in the team, an FA Cup game comes around, and you're left out of that FA Cup game. That's a message straight away to you, isn't it? A manager has to put lads in that's not necessarily playing the first team. They do that, don't they?
Yeah.
So if I wasn't in the side, I'd be chapping the manager's door. Why am I not playing? What can I do? Whatever it would be to get back in the side. Then if an FA Cup, right, don't worry, you're playing FA Cup third round. You get your chance to prove yourself in that game. That is why managers need to do it. Of course they do. Liverpool are on a different level. They need to actually rest players for that Christmas period that they had. So that is why they're in the position they are now in the league, because they're playing at such a level. Quite rightly, he's going to leave them all out. Quite right, because they've got huge games.
Have a good look in the mirror, to be fair, after the performance. Some of them are shocking. Some of the fringe players, and it shows that they haven't got the strength and depth.
Sturridge.
Talk about Sturridge getting a new contract. By the way.
I know.
I don't know where that's come from.
Origi, I'm not being funny. Like I mean, I know he scored the win in the Merseyside derby, but he was so poor. Lack of movement, lack of. The game was poor.
Shaqiri only got going until the big boys came on.
Yeah, that's it.
He was having half a sulk up.
Yeah, you're right.
Fabinho at the back, just forget about it. I wanted to bring up one issue from that game. So as soon as I was kind of half watching, I wasn't watching it in depth. It was on at home, and
it wasn't a great game.
No,
I was in the studio here watching it.
What was the main thing? I wasn't that bothered. The first half in particular was horrendous.
I know.
So anyway, Lovren goes off injured a few minutes. They bring on the young Dutch lad, Hoiver, and I'm like, where's Conor Masterson?
Yeah.
He was playing for the 23s that night.
Yeah.
Against Spurs for Liverpool, obviously. So instantly I'm thinking, is he out of the equation? Because you hear, with the defensive injury, he's going to get a little nibble, he's going to get his opportunity. We've heard this for a while. He had injury troubles at the start of this season that may well have stalled that. But then the other night, as soon as that's happened, I'm thinking, okay, Fabinho's playing centre-half with Lovren. They obviously don't anticipate Lovren coming off after a few minutes. Are they thinking, you're better off playing in that 23s game rather than sit on the bench for the first team? Or is it a case of they see this young Dutch lad that they brought in from Ajax Academy last year as the long-term option? Hard to know, but coulda, woulda, shoulda from his point
exactly.
of view.
I mean, we don't know what they're thinking, what the thought process is there. Is it, as you say, more beneficial to him to play a game? What would you do if you were Conor Masterson? What would you rather do? Do you want to go play a 23 side or be in an FA Cup game against Wolves in the first team?
I'd rather be on the bench for the first team.
Without a doubt. Without that, because there's always that chance. You know, there's always that chance to get on.
Yeah.
You think back to yourself when you're coming through the system. If there's a chance to go with the first team, you go.
Yeah.
That's it. It means more. It means way more. I don't know. We don't know what the thought is, what the thoughts are at the club there, do we? But I would imagine it would have been a little blow to him when you're seeing a kid that's essentially a couple of years behind you in the development and gets ahead of you, gets on the bench and gets game time.
And now everyone's talking about him this week.
Yeah.